Hello, it's Jose, and I'm with my friend.
Hi, I'm Daniel. Nice to meet you guys.
I hope you're having a fantastic day because I certainly am. Today I'm going to discuss the 5 tips I've used to travel on a cheap budget. I've used these tips to travel to Europe, Asia, South America, and North America.
Yeah, with the help of these travel tips, Jose and I, we've been able to travel to all those locations on a tight budget. And together we actually traveled the west coast of North America for approximately 5 weeks, and we spent only around $460.
Alright, I think that was good.
Alright, so for our cheap travel tip number one, we recommend planning in advance. Planning in advance will allow you to make a proper budget, find good deals on flights, accommodation, transportation, and see the places that you want to see for the price you want to pay.
Also, another tip is maybe consider another destination because other destinations are cheaper than, let's say, Paris, London. These destinations tend to be expensive because most people want to go there. But let's say you go to Southeast Asia, South America, Africa, um, Eastern Europe. These destinations tend to be cheaper and let you do more with the money you have. So it might be worth going to another destination instead.
Also, you want to avoid peak seasons. During these times of the year, such as the winter holidays or summer, probably June, July, August, they're going to be the most crowded, the most busy. Prices are going to be inflated, and you're going to have a lot harder time finding cheap flights, hotels, hostels, everything.
Tip number 2, you should frugally eat. So Daniel and I, when we were in Budapest together, we ate doner kebabs every single day for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and midnight snack. We ate these doner kebabs because they're cheap in Budapest, and on top of that, they contained a lot of calories, so they made us function throughout the day.
And they were tasty. They were really, really tasty. Also, in the event that you want to get lit, but stay on the budget, what you can do is calculate which alcoholic beverage will get you the most lit for the least amount of dollars or euros or Hungarian hoofs or whatever it is. So what you want to do is, look at the alcoholic beverage, calculate how much alcohol there is in that beverage. Let's say you're buying, I don't know, a liter of beer at 5%, I don't know, 50 milliliters of alcohol. Alright, divide that by how much it costs, and that's the cost per dollar of alcohol you'll be consuming. Then you'll be able to compare that to other beverages, and you'll be like, hey, I just want to get lit, so I'll buy this one instead of the other one.
Also, let's say you're going to a very expensive country like Switzerland, you might as well not eat. Daniel, Daniel and I, when we were in Switzerland, we ate tomatoes and cheese for free.
We're in Switzerland.
We'll contain a video
Part
to
of
our
our
right.
food, so we're eating a free cheese and
That
sweet
is true.
tomato.
They were very tasty tomatoes and cheese.
Bon appetit.
Alright, time for cheap travel tip number 3. So now we're going to talk about cheap accommodation. Cheap accommodation is important because it's going to be one of the larger expenses during the course of your travels. And some of the things you can do instead of finding an expensive hotel is finding a cheaper hotel, one with bed bugs. You can try camping. You can try a dirty hostel. You can sleep in your car. You can go camping. Even sleep on the streets.
So by sleeping on the streets, Daniel was talking about one of my incidents. Once I was traveling throughout Italy, I actually planned this, and I wanted to sleep on the beach. So instead of sleeping at a hostel or an Airbnb, I decided to just sleep on the beach and just wake up to the sunrise. And to me, this was amazing. Another incident I had where I was sleeping on the streets was when I was at a program competition at the University of Oxford. I arrived there a day before, and I decided to just sleep on the bench. And because I was sleeping on the bench, I ended up meeting up with students from the University of Oxford and got along with them, and we ended up talking that night. So that ended up being a really good time.
So on a similar note, if you happen to know any relatives or friends that live near the area you'll be visiting, don't be afraid to hit them up and be like, hey, mind if I sleep on your couch or something? Usually they're happy to open up their home to you and share their everyday life with you.
Once Daniel and I were out camping in the west coast of North America, we asked these other campers that were local to that area to see if there was any hot springs close by. Originally, they said no, but after they saw Daniel and I showering in the glacier water, um, they changed their mind. They actually told us about an amazing hot spring, and we ended up going there the next day. And to us, this was amazing. The locals didn't want to share this because to them this was a special place, and they didn't want it to become popular. But we got the chance to go there, because we asked the locals, and this was an amazing experience.
Yeah, beautiful hot spring.
Right?
Cheap travel tip number 4. That's 3 fingers.
2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths.
Cheap travel tip number 4. Now we're going to talk about cheap transportation. Finding cheap transportation is very important because usually transportation is your number 1 largest expense during your travels. So some of the things you can do to minimize your expenses are finding, cheaper means of transportation, such as walking, cycling, public transit. If you're in an area where none of those exist, or the distance is too great, and you need to rent a vehicle, make sure you rent a vehicle that's, smaller, compact, is fuel efficient. Also, if you're able to drive manual, that's a big bonus because rental cars are usually much cheaper when they come in the manual option. Also, look into the price of gas in your area that you'll be going to. Look into the price of gasoline versus diesel because that can also be, important.
Exactly. For example, I once sacrificed my time to actually travel to a different city. Instead of taking one bullet train, which would have been direct to the city, I ended up taking an overnight, like 6 to 7 slower trains. And this was a sacrifice I had to do to save money. I've also sacrificed a lot of time for walking, but I personally love walking, and I have no problem sacrificing my time to walk. So to me, this isn't an issue.
Also, flights. Flights is a big topic, and when booking a flight, you need to make sure that you do it, with some time in advance. At least 3 months is usually when you get the good deals. And use your resources. There's plenty of resources online, such as Google Flights, Skyscanner, whatever it is, Kayak, I don't know. But you can search by destination, you can search by, flight, date, time, price, everything.
We'll put Skyscanner and Google Flights in the description below.
We recommend it, we've used it, it's helped us a lot.
Wow, man, we just went a cappella on that. Tip number 5, nature versus city. These are 2 different types of traveling. Traveling in the city tends to be a bit more expensive, so it might be worth going hiking instead in the nature. Daniel and I have traveled cheap doing multiple road trips.
Yeah, in one of these road trips, we drove through Alberta, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, a little bit of New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, all the way back to Ontario. And combined, we only spent probably less than $1,000 or around $1,000. And this includes everything: gas, accommodation, food, water, entrance to parks. And we were able to do this with the help of a very fuel-efficient vehicle, a little Toyota Echo, manual with no AC. And we would always camp or sleep in the car whenever we could. There was only one incident, one night, where we didn't camp, and that was in Las Vegas, where we stayed in a hostel.
On top of that, sightseeing doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. For example, let's say you go to Antelope Canyon. A lot of people go to Antelope Canyon because that's the most famous part. But right next to Antelope Canyon are other canyons that aren't famous. If you go 5 to 10 kilometers away from it, you might see something as amazing as Antelope Canyon. It's just not popular. This is a cheaper alternative to sightseeing.
Yeah, I believe the tours for Antelope Canyon, because it's in private property, were around $100 US, which is a lot for a tour of a canyon. Alright, now we're going to talk about probably the most essential part to traveling on a very small budget, and that's being a dirtbag. In order to travel extremely cheaply, you need to be a dirtbag, and you need to understand that there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum. At one end is lavish living. That's, 5-star hotels, all inclusive, foot massages, like escargot. And on the other side is being a hobo. And what you want to do is you want to hit the golden zone, which is right about here, right before being a bum. That's when you're going to save the most money. That's when you're going to have the most amazing experiences. And that's when you're going to suffer the most, but pay the least amount of money without fully becoming a homeless person. So try to strive for being a dirtbag.
Yep. This has helped us a lot in a lot of different situations. It's honestly the golden rule.
Yeah, to this day, even though Jose and I, we recently graduated, we're not super broke students, well, at least in the future we won't be. I feel like even when we have a little bit more disposable income, we'll still travel a little bit like dirtbags because deep down, it's fun.
Yeah. Those are honestly the memorable experiences. Like, I don't talk about my amazing the fun, cool stories you get are these type of stories. The ones where you're a dirtbag.
Yeah, you'll find yourself in very interesting situations when you try to find alternative routes or means to see the things you want to see and experience things that you want to experience. So, I guess that concludes this video. So on a similar note, on a similar, similar. So on a similar